University of Toronto, and she will talk to us about the power of portals.
Yes, thank
so
you.
You're more welcome.
Thank you, thank you. Like when we start with tech problems, it's an ongoing joke in my household because I manage an entire digital team, but I don't know how to restart our Wi-Fi. So my husband thinks that that's hilarious. But hello and welcome. This is one of the, I think, few sessions that is not really about AI, but I did use AI to write the title. I chose the cheesiest one that ChatGPT pumped out, just to show that, you know, it does its job, AI. So before I dive in, I'll tell you a little bit about myself and kind of where I work within the University of Toronto. I'm Emma, Executive Director of Digital Marketing and Communications with the Brand Hub at U of T. Prior to my U of T days, I worked primarily with nonprofits. I'm just going to scroll. It's a Mac. U of T doesn't pay for Macs, so I don't know how to use one. Prior to U of T, I worked primarily with nonprofits as a consultant with an agency, teaching those organizations how to leverage digital to raise more money, to get more engagements with their different communities. I've been working in digital a long time. My first ever job was with War Child Canada, and that was almost 20 years ago today, where they told me my budget is $3,000 and I'm in charge of all fundraising, volunteer, and school engagement. So I taught myself how to use the internet, because what else can you do with a $3,000 budget? Not really knowing that that would end up changing the trajectory of my career. I've been with U of T now for 9 years. I manage the digital channels for the Brand Hub. Brand Hub at U of T is responsible for managing the university's brand strategy, managing local and global reputational campaigns, executing integrated marketing campaigns, and handling all of the digital communications for advancement, which is alumni relations, fundraising, and more. I also watch figure skating like Americans watch Sunday Night Football. It gets very intense, and I do it alone because it's embarrassing. So there was a time where the concept of brand, the B word, wasn't really fully understood at the University of Toronto. It is an almost 200-year-old institution. It has never had a brand prior to the last 5 years. We really kind of got away with being one of the top universities in Canada and in North America and the world. Brand was really reduced to things like colors, logos. We were really missing the deeper essence of what a brand is, the voice, the story, the tone, the messaging. And for an institution of our scale, it really created challenges in how we presented ourselves. There are 26 different faculties and divisions across U of T, all out there with their own voice, their own tone, all using this beautiful U of T blue, but other than that, nothing really connecting them. So recognizing this, our team started to develop the first ever brand platform for the university. To be successful, it couldn't be built for the university. We had to build it with the university. So we did a 5-step process, very similar process to anyone that's ever worked on a massive web project, working through the discovery, understanding the strategy, working on the concept, doing testing on that concept with all of our different audiences, and then, of course, refining and execution, which we really are still in that stage, because although we have a brand now, it's always evolving. So the result of all that work got us to defy gravity, which is how I have to present it, which is the university's brand platform. I could very easily dedicate a full session just to the brand itself, but we're here because we work in digital, so I'm going to focus on the brand portal. So now we had this brand, we needed to create a space that would empower people to use it within their day-to-day work. So just like the development of the brand platform, we needed a really strong foundation, and that strong foundation would equal the brand portal, which is what I'm going to talk about today. So I'll do a bit of a deeper dive. So before doing any work, we developed an agreed upon objective. This objective was shared with all of our teams, with all of our stakeholders, all of our partners, all of the vendors that touched this project along the way, just to make sure we were all 100% aligned on what we were hoping to achieve. Bill 9, anyone? Good reference. So this was definitely one of the biggest projects that we've ever undertaken. We did decide to work with an external partner to help support this work, and I personally found this incredibly valuable for a number of reasons. One, our bandwidth, even though we have a pretty decently sized team, our bandwidth is still limited. And I think we all know from our various different workplaces, when there's a project you're working on that's for an internal audience, it will get bumped for projects for external audiences every single time. So bringing in some outside support helped, one, add those extra resources, and also forced us to stay on track because they were the ones that were responsible for our timelines and making sure that we did our work. In addition, individually, we all had our own visions of what this portal needed to be, depending on our role and our background and our experiences. Bringing in an external partner really helped to provide those checks and balances that we needed, helped to check any of those biases that we may not have even realized that we had, and helped to provide that framework. And in addition, really for any project, but this project in particular, an external partner was incredibly valuable for user testing. This is an internal tool, so the users are people that we work with on a daily basis. We needed them to be extremely honest with what they thought we needed to do, where our failings were, what we could do better with, and having an external partner just gave them, the sense that they could speak a lot more freely than they may have with us. So one of the first things we worked through with that vendor is our detailed discovery. So again, I'm talking about the portal, but a lot of this is very applicable for any small or large-scale web project. For this discovery, we conducted over 40 different user interviews. We divided those user interviews between what we called the day-to-day users, so the people who are actually responsible for creating the brochures or creating the print materials or the websites, and then also the senior users. What we really quickly found is that your boss's expectations about how you use the brand is often very different than how your expectations and how you use the brand in the portal would be. We also surveyed our entire community. We had over 220 different responses. We consulted all along the way with a senior advisory group. The university acts very much like a governmental institution. Hierarchy really matters. And even in the positions that are quite senior that might not ever touch this portal, it was very important to keep them informed along the way. So the good news is our community really didn't hold back. What we learned from them is that they needed ready-to-use assets. They didn't necessarily always want to do themselves. They wanted something that they could download and just use. They wanted as much information as possible, but they really wanted a show and tell style so that they could visually see what we were trying to express with words. They wanted it to be very easy to use. We heard a lot of, I need this information in the middle of a project. If I can't find it in 5 minutes, I'm going to go do my own thing. So we needed it to be extremely user-friendly. Another thing I found very interesting is they told us that we needed to keep talking about the portal, which was music to my ears because I call this my baby of a project, my legacy to the university. I never want to stop talking about it. So that my colleagues themselves said, we need to be reminded, we have staff turnover, you need to keep telling us that this exists. There's no such thing as too much repetition. And they wanted workshops as well. They knew that in their roles, they may be expert in some things, but not everything, so they wanted us to hold workshops on a regular basis. The kind of conclusion of this discovery period was the development of really detailed business requirements and technical requirements that would meet the need of our community. It changed, okay. So now that we had a really deep understanding of those needs, we did a lot of research on the potential technology that could help meet those needs. Early in this phase, we did discuss the pros and cons of building something in-house from scratch versus a proprietary platform. There really are pros and cons to each. Although if you're speaking to the people that do the build, they don't understand why there's cons to that work at all. But we knew that if we built it from scratch, we would probably be able to meet every single one of our business needs because we would just customize it end to end. So huge pro there. The big con to it is this portal needed to stand the test of time. And even with a great team, having a full company and a proprietary platform behind the maintenance, the security, the ongoing updates, that's a massive amount of work and time. So I did make the case internally to purchase a proprietary platform instead. So based on what we were seeing in terms of the platforms, we divided our needs into 3 key buckets. So a digital asset management system, guidelines, which is really just a customizable page that we were able to develop and write and design, our own guideline content. And a little less exciting, because this was tacked on to the end of my project, was web to print. I essentially learned almost at the end that we had this really archaic stationery system where you could go on and create your business cards, and they didn't want to pay for that anymore. So I had to figure out a tool that could also do that. We did a lot of vendor demos, a lot of research, and we did find kind of one platform that met that with the, I think I described this last night as we're in the Venn of the Venn diagram, which I don't think is how you say it, but it works out, which was Frontify, and is the tool that we ended up selecting. Of course, because we're U of T, there was a 6-month procurement process that took forever, but I don't have a slide on that. So now we had the foundation, we had the tool, we had the alignment. It was time to build the portal itself, which also was not a simple task. While we had this new brand platform, we were still working out what that meant for ourselves. We had done a couple of big projects. We had done a mass reputational campaign, which really helped us figure out how to express the brand. We had a few other campaigns and tactics out there. We had some documentation, around the use of our logo and signature, but really that's all we had, and we knew that our community needed more. So how we address that, teamwork makes the dream work. We organized our team into 3 different sets. So one we called the subject matter experts. So those are the designers, they're the developers, they're the social media managers. They're the people that are hands-on using the brand on a daily basis. We had them write all the initial drafts. What that meant is it was real, it was workable, it was done by the experts, but it also meant about 100 pages of documentation that was not in the same voice and wasn't written in the same style and didn't align with the information architecture that we developed. So we had what we call the strategy team in there, and that was a much smaller group that was a very integrated team, writers, designers, UX experts, and they would take all those drafts and they would edit them and start to build it right in the portal itself. This was also a really massive change for us. Before, our writers would never go into a content management system. They would be like, no, over to a developer. And a developer would be like, you can just write it in here. It's like a WYSIWYG. So this project really broke down a lot of those barriers, and now the writers on this project, they can't even fathom handing over their work to a developer to do. We also had a leadership team where we mapped out all of the different content and we identified who was reviewing and approving. We couldn't have every single leader review and approve every single page, so we divided it really by their expertise and the levels that they were at. We did have one copy editor who did read every single page on the brand portal and make edits throughout. So they were really the only ones that saw every single piece of content. So here's the moment you've all been waiting for, our beautiful portal, my legacy to the university, my second child. This site, a quick video that goes through the homepage, but the site really supports findability, helping people not just browse, but easily search for the different resources that they're looking for. The homepage is really designed to be scannable at a glance. The homepage, in this case, we know that's where people do go first. It's not an area that we're, marketing internal pages. They're going to the homepage. They're immediately looking for what they need. So we've included links to popular resources and tools, which is a nice combination of what is actually popular versus what we want to be popular. As we scroll through, we're using the vibrant photos, the colors, expressing the brand with the design, but also including a ton of links and buttons, really to drive people deeper and deeper into the site. And the whole portal is publicly accessible, so you're welcome to peruse and increase my KPIs with your stats. There are a few areas that we have kept behind a university-wide login, things that are just a little bit more confidential in nature. So with this constantly evolving portal, we needed to have a really strong governance structure. We had to ensure that there was the right oversight in content while not providing too much oversight in content, which was also a big change management process on our end. We're very used to having leaders review and approve everything that anyone can see publicly, but that can't be the case for this portal. It needs to act quickly and alongside the community. So we maintained that strategy group, the group who are kind of responsible for all the content. We maintained the leadership group. I have here just a screenshot of, a part of our governance document which looked at, what type of content it is and the level of oversight it needed. And then there was some negotiation about how much I could squeeze into that low oversight category. But we do still, of course, have some things that do need to be high oversight, like a whole net new section. We do need a lot of eyes on that. But this helps kind of reduce the bottlenecks that can naturally occur in these types of projects. So I'm showing here because just a few months ago we actually released an entire new section, our social media section, and we were able to do this, quite nimbly because we had laid the foundation for the structure and within the governance. This work was quite complex because U of T is so big. We had a lot of people who managed a lot of social channels who had produced some great documentation. So we actually worked a lot with our partners across the university to amalgamate all of that content and ensure that it helps support the brand. This also helped create a lot of buy-in because our colleagues felt like their content was represented and we respected, and we do very much respect the work that they do. So how did our community respond? They loved it, which is great. We had some really nice feedback from people, and we continue to get really great feedback. Our results have been, really amazing. I know these numbers are, they mean what they mean in the case of U of T, but we did have, kind of a practice portal where we had a few downloadable resources, and we were in the hundreds of visitors, not the tens of thousands. So we're really pleased with the results. And we have listened to our community. We do continue to promote the portal. We've now created an annual plan of different workshops and sessions that we can run on a regular basis to keep people involved and get their direct feedback in those areas as well. That's it. We have a few minutes if there's questions or on to the next.
Yeah, I think so. If anyone has questions for him.
Why not? No pressure.
I'm going to talk about my area of interest, but how heavy a lift was it to consolidate metadata to come up with content types that are ready for It sounds like it was a little Wild West before, and you must have had to do a lot of alignment.
Yeah, I feel like I could have 10 slides on just how we did the architecture of the site, and in some cases, because we chose a proprietary platform, we were governed by that platform as well. So that was one of the cons. Like, they have a side nav. We hate the side nav, but it is what it is. So it was a bit of a combination. We did that work after we had chosen the platform to make sure, however, we decided to lay out the content, worked with the platform we were working in. And it was a good 3 months if people thought this was a mistake, this was the wrong platform to choose. But we worked through it and are on the other side now. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
Could you speak to the workshops a bit?
Yeah, we started very broad, so just introducing the world as a whole, and we ran, I think, about 10 of those. Some just open to people who wanted to come, and some very faculty specific. The faculties aren't so good at adhering to the brand. And then once we ran those, we now just run 2 of those a year for really any net new staff. And then we're starting to develop very specific ones. So I'm